Hi everyone and welcome to today's More Report with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Tech Markets on Friday the 11th of July. The European markets have fairly stabilised overnight actually, and the big issue that has been surrounding trading over the past 24 hours has been this Portuguese bank Espírito Santo that has had funding difficulties and it's had to delay debt repayments on some of its creditors, and the issue has been that whether this is just a specific problem within the bank or if it's actually a wider systemic problem in the banking system generally, and this is what has driven a bit of a sharp decline in stock markets over the last 24 hours, and also a flight into safe haven assets, gold specifically pushing higher. Also, the yen has benefited as well. So that's what we've seen. But today you've actually had some of the top tier banks coming out overnight and really suggesting that this is not really a possible. Not It's unlikely to have a contagion risk throughout Europe, and it's more than likely that the banking system is able to cope with it. So it's actually seen a bit of a stability happen over in the early trading in Europe. FTSE's around 0.25% higher. Also the DAX as well. The CAC 40 is also almost 0.5% higher, and not only that, you've seen some of the FX markets as well stabilise. But if you look at the VIX, certainly yesterday, the VIX volatility of index of S&P options, that sharply moved higher, not far off a 6-week high there that it reached in the middle of June. So 1265 is that 6-week high. And we'll see if that continues to push higher today. That could be could show that traders are beginning to consider covering their big long portfolios with put options, and the demand for put options would see that VIX index push higher. So that's an interesting indicator to watch. But also the dollar index, which didn't it had a bit of a move high yesterday, but not a massive move high. I think the Japanese yen certainly put a bit of pressure, or held it back slightly, and there wasn't such a big move into the euro that perhaps you might be expecting in this sort of situation. So it just suggests that there is still an expectation that this could well just be a one-off scenario, and it will be nicely contained within the European system. And it could actually ultimately turn out to be a bit of a buying opportunity in these markets at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see what actually happens in the coming days. The only real bit of economic data we've got today is the Canadian unemployment. That comes out at 1:30 UK time. 7% is the expectation there. But throughout the day, other than that, we'll be continuing to trade around this story. And as I said, just at the moment, there's a little bit of stability that has taken over in these European markets. With that in mind, my chart of the day is the euro yen, and euro yen had that euro did actually have a bit of a sell-off yesterday, but it seems to have stabilised, as I said, and the yen against the yen is another instance of that. It had this key support at 137.66, and that slightly broke down yesterday. 46 was the low, but it had a recovery intraday, and even today it seems to be recovering as well. This is the hourly chart. As I said, the euro is beginning to regain some of its downside that it lost yesterday, so that suggests that perhaps there is some support coming in. It just does still look, though, that this euro yen chart is putting pressure on the downside, and these rallies are being sold into. And just over the course of the last few months, you've got just a series of lower highs that come in for this euro yen chart, and the latest one being at 139.27. You had a bit of a high also at 138.76. So I'd be looking at any sort of bounce in this euro yen chart as an opportunity to sell now. I think there's going to be further pressure to the downside, and ultimately I think we're going to be putting pressure on this this February low at 136.20. But I see that that any of these rallies are a chance to sell. You look at these momentum indicators, all pretty much across the board in negative configuration. Certainly the RSI continues to fall over under 50 or around 50. Also the MACD line's very, very solidly below that neutral line, and that suggests that rallies are a chance to sell on this chart. And certainly what you'd be looking for today, there is a band of support around the 138 figure level. If I put my crosshair around that sort of mark, it seems to be that 138 is an old support throughout the last couple of weeks, and that should now provide a basis of resistance, and I think anywhere around there you'd be looking at a chance to sell today. Ultimately, I think if you even if you got a rally further than that, even back towards 38.40, I think anything around between that 138 big figure mark and 138.60 probably you'd be looking at as a chance to sell, because I think the reaction high at 138.76 will now be another key high in place. So I would say anything in that band between 138 big figure and 138.50 should be seen as a chance to sell. These momentum indicators are just unwinding at the moment, but as I said, there is I think a chance to sell today. Okay, so that's my outlook on euro yen, and I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I will speak to you later. Thank you.